So next, we'll talk about continuous innovation. Next slide. So you're now on a platform where you can now innovate. And as MJ alluded to, you get these CPEA credits as part of the RISE offering and moving to the private cloud edition. For this discussion, we've talked about private cloud and moving to it where you'll have a minimum of 4,000 annual credit points and a maximum that's capped at 16,000. And this is all computed as 1% of your annual net private cloud value. So how that translates and how you interpret it, we have a table here at the bottom where we have 50 FUEs that have been calculated that come, and this is a functional user equivalent and how it's sold to the customers. And you can see here, this scenario, this comes out to an annual fee of $116,100. That translates to $1,116 annually that would be used as a credit, which is 1% of that annual net private cloud value. So this just shows kind of how that's calculated. Next, we'll talk about how you can use those CPEA credits. So SAP has this site called the Discovery Center. Now within the Discovery Center, you can then filter by CPEA. That way it's going to show you all the applicable solutions, and then you can select any of the desired solutions that you want. So if you're looking at conversational AI or big data services or SAP Analytics Cloud, we can select all these and we can add each of these solutions to the estimator. Next slide, please. So the estimator tool is going to have all the products that you've selected and any of the quantities, and you can then adjust them within this tool, and it's going to tell you what your cost is going to be. It's also going to calculate any discounts that you might have from SAP and give you this estimate. So you could say, you know, based on my spend, I have 15,000 some odd credits, and this is going to cost 19,000 a year, and so you know you would be responsible for that delta. So this is just a way where you can kind of calculate how you can use those credits and how best to optimize that spend. Next slide, please. So from an automation and innovation perspective, where we see customers innovating the most from data intelligence with machine learning, the capabilities that have come in S/4HANA using the business technology platform. This is a scenario we see a lot of where you get out of the box automation within a number of areas within S/4HANA. Next, intelligent RPA from a RPA perspective. Some people have third-party RPA products, but SAP's intelligent RPA platform has a large amount of standard out-of-the-box RPA scripts that work out of the box with standard SAP functionality. So there's a lot of value there where you won't have to create a lot of the scripts yourself. There's a lot of attended and unattended SAP standard RPA bots that you can leverage. Next, from a chatbot conversational AI perspective, if anybody's heard of Copilot on the public cloud edition, Copilot, the evolution of that product is SAP conversational AI, and this is where you can implement that Copilot functionality in your S/4HANA PCE environment, leveraging SAP's conversational AI product. Next slide, please. So the conversational AI and chatbot platform and the business technology platform you can see here is all connected to all of your backend systems that exist in the PCE environment. So you have your backend systems, they're connected by various connectors like the SAP Cloud Connector, web services connectors, hitting these different APIs in the backend systems, all coming into that business technology platform and interfacing with the conversational AI product. And then you have bot connectors connected to your different platforms. So we can interface this directly with S/4HANA and have chatbots in your Fiori Launchpad that'll help your end users answer important questions. Next slide, please. Next, we can't talk about moving to S/4HANA without talking about Fiori. So a lot of people that are going to S/4HANA and probably, you know, as they move to the RISE offering with PCE, they might be doing a technical upgrade. And the technical upgrade typically means that they're only going live with Fiori apps that they have to use. There's very minimal scenarios. There's maybe 2 or 3 that you'll have to use Fiori that the T codes in SAP GUI have been deprecated. So typically we create a list after S/4HANA has been live, and we have a phase 2 to go through and implement all the Fiori apps. So we create a list of all the applicable apps to your organization, test all these apps. Some of the apps are going to need notes to be implemented to fix the standard functionality, and we want to make sure that that standard app functionality isn't impacted by any customizations that you've done in your system. For ones that are impacted, you can extend some of these apps to accommodate these customizations. Some Fiori apps cannot be extended, so we'll want to get a list of those. Then we'll create a backlog of all the apps that need to be extended, and you can do any of the customizations that need to occur. You could then also create custom Fiori tiles for your custom transactions. That way, people aren't going from one user interface into the other for the activities that you're doing. And also creating custom tile groups and catalog groups for only the apps that are applicable to your organization. Next slide, please. Also, the embedded search within Fiori is very powerful. We want to make sure that that is implemented, and that'll support all the standard objects that you have, but you can also go a step above and define and configure the search model for any of your custom tables to make sure that those are all included as part of the embedded search functionality. Next, the approvals within the My Inbox app is very powerful, and moving to that and enabling the S/4HANA flexible workflows is something we see a lot of customers doing. Next, MJ touched on the Enable Now functionality that comes as part of the RISE offering, and we want to make sure that we enable that in your Fiori Launchpad to give those users access to the help that they need within the Fiori Launchpad, within the standard SAP apps, as well as any custom apps that you've done and anything of that nature that helps them embrace this new user interface. And so that is kind of Fiori in a nutshell that for implementing Fiori, and then working with your organizational change management team to get that implemented across your organization. Next slide, please. Next, with S/4HANA going to S/4HANA, a big thing is analytics. Before S/4HANA, you had your ECC system, and you were probably doing some minimal reporting directly in ECC using Report Painter or something like that. But the majority of your reporting, you extracting data over to, say, BW or another data warehouse and using a front-end tool like Bex or Business Objects or even SAC in some scenarios, but ultimately doing the majority of reporting out of BW. Next slide. Now, after S/4HANA, we could do a lot of our operational reporting because we're running on HANA directly in S/4HANA. So you have a lot of pre-built analytical Fiori apps that allow you to do a lot of this reporting using standard CDS views. Now, we can also create custom CDS views and create custom Fiori apps for these reporting scenarios and use Fiori as a front-end tool, but also using a front-end tool such as SAP Analytics Cloud, leveraging those CPEA credits and doing operational reporting directly out of S/4HANA. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't still a need for a data warehouse. You'll still have some reporting going out of, say, BW for HANA or a database or a data warehouse of your preference. But given that unified table structure that you have with the ACDOC-A table from a finance perspective, MatDoc table for the logistics side, a lot of this reporting and performance that you get out of HANA allows you to do that directly in S/4HANA. Next slide, please. Other recommendations to mention, MRP, for anybody that's doing MRP today, standard MRP still works, but after the move to S/4HANA, it's a minimal effort to configure MRP live. There's going to be increased performance because that product is optimized for HANA, but that's some low-hanging fruit that you can do to get some good performance boost from MRP, and then exploring new functionality like demand-driven MRP or predictive MRP. Also the new advanced ATP within S/4HANA, and also making sure that you're enabling your HANA optimized T codes. Your old T codes from ECC will still work. So the example here we have is FBL1, you have FBL1H. So there's a lot of HANA optimized T codes that you'll want to get your users using to make sure they're leveraging performance of HANA now that they're on S/4HANA.